All right, welcome back everybody. This is especially for my NKU students, but also for YouTube land too as well. This is a very quick, fast version since I need to get this video out to my students here at NKU. And this is on figure drawing and using a nebulous kind of ambiguous atmosphere to play off contrasts within the model and also use rhythm and movement with that background to play off the model. So I've got 3 or 4 figure drawings here to show you, and I don't have really the cursor's not coming up here in Keynote, so I can't really point, but we'll just start with the one on the far left, and it's pretty much a darker atmosphere, but if you look deeply at it, there's a lot of little variations in the tone. It's not just one flat, deep, dark. There's a ground plane down there, and then there's some cast shadows too as well. So it really helps to illuminate the figure, and it puts the figure kind of in a very dark room. It helps those highlights illuminate, but it also gives purpose to the shadow. The shadow and the background tone are very similar in that respect. So the second drawing is more of one of my quicker 3-hour sketches. The others are a lot longer, probably 8 to 10 to a week or two, and bigger. So this one's about the size that we do in class, so the one in the middle. So it's a little bit more sketchy, more impressionistic, which is totally fine. All these styles are different. That's why I wanted to show you different styles. Again, I play off of what's going on in terms of a light, dark, kind of like Oreo cookies. So if you see the model, the light's coming from the top left and the one in the middle, right? And then you have shadow on the right bottom of the figure. And then we have in the background dark and light variations or atmospheric patternings to give contrast to the opposites of what's going on in the model. But also what I try to do in my quicker sketches here is to give very rhythmic movement in this sense. And the artist on the far right with those two, he's a Russian artist, with those two drawings kind of do the same thing. There's a little bit more movement. So it's a very nebulous, ambiguous kind of background. But think about this, rhythm and movement and value and atmosphere to give the drawing a sense of movement, a sense of purpose, but also a sense of spatial depth and separation from the background to the foreground. And in the two figures on the far right are a little less contrasty, but they're no less effective. They work pretty well. They seem a little bit relatively unfinished in that sense, but they work. The tonal backgrounds are a little bit more subdued and not as contrasty, where the figures and their core shadows especially really work to begin to enhance that sense of a kind of darkness in the figures rather than the backgrounds being so contrasty. What they all have is enough variation, a sense of design and a sense of movement and purpose that the atmosphere works well within the background. There's rhythm, there's movement, and there's value separation to give the figure contrast. What I see far too many students doing a lot of times is on just a additive drawing without additive subtraction. They leave white against white and there can't be any contrast, or it's dark against dark and there's no contrast. So what you want is variation of contrast to give it purpose and also a sense of movement as well. So taking a look at now portrait, since we're doing, we're at the end of our last 6 weeks of class time, which are all long poses, and some of these are going to be portraits. The more academic studies on the bookends of this this little video, the far left and far right, are more classic, sort of classical atelier sketches, and then mine in the middle is a little bit more impressionistic. And just to give you some different styles, one's in graphite on the far right, mine's in charcoal on blue tone paper in the middle, and then the other one's on charcoal on the far left as well. And so, analyzing, look at all of them and think about how the light and dark sets up, not only on the model, but then what are you doing in the background to set up contrast and variation in movement. You don't want your backgrounds to be flat. You don't want them to be non-active. They don't have to be crazy mark making examples or techniques or a finish style. It can be very smooth and very almost smoky, like a Leonardo da Vinci, or they can be a little bit more gestural, like mine is in the middle, or more impressionistic. as well. They can almost be even photographic or somewhere in between, but you want this idea of light against dark, light against dark. One step against two steps, one step against two steps. That will help tremendously in how you're having to deal with your atmospheres in your drawing. So this was a longer lecture I wanted to give, but since the coronavirus has kind of stolen our ability, my ability, and everybody's ability to kind of work in our on-campus studios, then we're at home and I don't have access to some of those materials and equipment. So that's it. I'll give this to YouTube land. You guys can have this out there and internationally, so I hope you guys enjoy this too as well. All right, good luck on those drawings, everyone, and I'll see you very soon. Everybody stay safe, take care, be well, and take care of one another. Okay, bye-bye.